What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Turnbuckle Tommy Picks. I hope you guys are enjoying your Thursday evening baseball. I'm having a good one, actually. We posted 5 plays on X today, and we swept the board. We had the Athletics team total over 4.5 at minus 118. We had the Athletics run line plus 125. Check, check. We had Pirates first five minus the half a run. We got that at minus 120. White Sox and Seattle under 7.5 at minus 115. And then I did a parlay. Not a big parlay fan. I kind of feel like it's just really donating money. Books they love gamblers that bet parlays, especially the people that do the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 legs. But anyway, I like the look. We had the Marlins team total over 3.5, and I parlayed that with Paul Skeens under 1.5 earned runs. I just figured after his last outing at Colorado getting touched up, he'd kind of come out and shove, and sure enough, that's what he did. I was actually contemplating taking Skeens under 5.5 hits allowed, and I'm glad I didn't take that because he actually gave up 6 hits, so that would have been a loser, but Paul Skeens comes through, and we sweep the board 5-0. It is a beautiful thing. So I hope you guys were able to get some tickets to the window. But that is not what we are here to talk about. As always, guys, we are here to talk about tomorrow's games, and we are back to a big slate. Got a big slate of games tomorrow. So let's start with the first game on the board. Let's see. We got the Reds at the Pirates, so it will be game 2 of this one. And we got Chase Burns taking the bump for Cincinnati, and we got Mitch Keller taking the mound for the Pirates. So this is a matchup, man. Chase Burns, 6.04 ERA. Hasn't really looked good. Actually, he's gotten touched up his last couple times out. We've seen the Pirates bats. They're hitting. I mean, granted, it was Brady Singer, and I made that comment. I specifically said that was one of the reasons I kind of liked the over 7. I thought 7 was too low of a number because I said Brady Singer, you could ask him to borrow 2 runs and he'll give you 4. I felt that he was absolutely capable of damn near giving up 5 runs on his own, is how I kind of felt. So I liked the over, but we ended up going with that. In tomorrow's game, like I said, Chase Burns in his last 3 starts, he's got a 5.84 ERA. His ERA for away games on the road is 9.28, and that's what's kind of scary there. And then on the opposite side, you got Mitch Keller. Now, Mitch Keller has a 3.89 ERA. The Pirates are 5-10 in his starts, but over his last 3, he's got an ERA of 7.62. Definitely not a good ERA. His home ERA is 3.94. So, he's capable of giving up 3-4 runs. They have the total for this game set at 8, and I'm having the same thoughts I had about the 7 for tonight's game. I think that's too low of a number, especially with these 2 pitchers on the mound. And look, what do you know? Pirates 7-0. So they are now up 7-0. I told you I liked the over 7 in that game. I just felt that I felt the Pirates could get that by themselves, and sure enough, they did. I mean, we've been on point lately. Over the last 4 days, I believe the record's like with the 5 wins today. I think we're at like 28-9, 28 wins, 9 losses, and 1 push or something. Anyway, I like the over 8 in this game. If I had to pick a side, I think this is a spot that the Reds could probably bounce back against Mitch Keller. This is not Paul Skeens on the mound. But on the other side, the Pirates' bats are kind of hot right now, and Chase Burns, the thing with Chase Burns, he's a rookie. This was a highly touted prospect, and he's got some good stuff, but he kind of has similar situations as, in my opinion, as Jacob Mizorowski, where they don't have a deep pitch mix right now. They haven't really had time to develop any kind of pitch mix, so they rely heavily on that fastball, throwing that heat right down the center. And look, they got arms on them. They can fire it in there, and that can get out a lot of people. But you are in the major leagues, and you have to remember, man, that these bats can hit those 103s and those 102s. They are capable. That's why they are professional baseball players. So I think 8 is too low of a number with this one. So I'm going to lean towards the over in the Reds and Pirates game. Next on the board, Athletics at Orioles. This is a game that actually interests me. You got JT Ginn taking the mound for the Athletics. You got Tomioka Sugano taking the mound for the Orioles. Now, Sugano is a pitcher who started off the year looking pretty decent. He was looking pretty good, and lately that seemed to have fallen off. Now, his last outing, he did okay, but he's in his last 3 starts, 4.30 ERA, 4.34 on the road, 5.50 at home. So he's one of those pitchers that even at home will struggle a little bit. Orioles bats are hitting, but Athletics bats are smacking too. And on the opposing side, JT Ginn, here's a guy with an ERA of 4.28, but over his last 3 starts has a 2.93 ERA. And again, another pitcher whose home road splits are pretty wild. At home, he actually does a lot worse, 5.54 ERA at home. On the road, 2.82. This is a game that I think a lot of the public is probably going to jump on Baltimore. They had the day off. They had that rest. Athletics played the last game, Washington game today, flew out, they were already in Washington, so they really didn't have to go nowhere. So there's no travel spot for them. I actually think the Athletics are in a better spot because they played yesterday. Their bats are still, they still have that momentum. They should be able to carry that into tomorrow's game. A lot of times Baltimore, you got that day off and you wake up kind of tired. It might take you a little bit to get going. Maybe an Athletics first 5 money line. I'm not quite sure. The number on that right now is the A's plus 100. For an Athletics team on the road, now Baltimore and the A's are very close. You got Athletics sitting at 51 and 66, and then you got Baltimore sitting at 52 and 63. So, I mean, they're only separated by a couple games. I would like to see some money come in on Baltimore. I don't think that plus 100 is enough, to be honest with you. I don't think plus 100 is enough to take the Athletics on the road. I would prefer a little better of a number. So we'll see what happens with that, but that's how I would lean in that game. Up next on the board, we got the Houston Astros taking on the New York Yankees. Here's a New York team that's just been, whether you're a New York fan or not, they are just disappointing. I mean, they truly are. The amount of money on that team and the amount of talent, and to just see how flat they go, and they don't just go flat for a game or two. Like, they stay flat for consecutive games. I mean, just streaks of playing like stone cold trash. So again, a highly disappointing team. On the Houston side, we got Hunter Brown taking the mound. Now, here's a pitcher who, man, he's honestly been one of my favorite pitchers this year. He's got great stuff, man. Earlier in the season, he was looking like a Cy Young candidate. Still could be that. His last couple starts have been shaky. He's been getting touched up. Don't know if it's the nerves getting to him or what, but, the kid has a 2.81 ERA. On the road, he's got a 2.56. The Astros are 5-2 when he starts on the road. And then for the Yankees, you got Cam Schlittler taking the mound. The Yankees are 1-2 in his starts. Schlittler's got a 4.58 ERA, 4.40 over his last 3, but a 5.59 ERA at home. The Yankees bats they're just not doing anything to impress me. Maybe this is the spot where Aaron Judge gets right. Coming back from injury, he didn't really do anything. He was kind of flat in those the games that they just played against Texas. Maybe he comes back and gets right at home and starts smacking them out of the park. Maybe being home will put them in that little flow. I don't know. Houston actually finally looked great against the Marlins. They looked like they woke up. Their bats kind of were sleeping there for a while. I don't know if they were on vacay. They must have still been on All-Star break or something. They forgot to pack their bats when they came back because they weren't doing anything there, but it looks like they came back to life. They started finding their rhythm again. I would expect them to be able to go in there and smack Schlittler around, to be honest with you. Houston is a minus 130 road favorite. Now, from a perspective, yes, Houston is a better team record-wise, 64-51, while the Yankees are 61-54. I would have to say that the Yankees have more talent on that team. They don't seem to do nothing with it. And on top of that, you got Aaron Boone as the manager, who's just should have been fired 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe not that, but 2 years ago for sure. Should have been fired a couple years ago. I don't want to lay the 130 with Houston, but in this situation, it seems like it's the right side. More than that, I am looking at the over 8. It's at minus 115. Like I said, Hunter Brown's looked shaky his last couple starts. And if this is the game where the Yankees bats do decide to get right, everyone knows the Yankees bats are talented and they are able to put up crooked numbers at the drop of a hat. And once they put up a crooked number, it's usually followed. Same thing as their cold streaks. Once they start hitting and putting up high runs, they continue to do that consecutively for games on games on games. So the over 8 could be a possible ticket I might get to the window with, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what the lines do later tomorrow morning. Up next on the board, the Los Angeles Angels head to Detroit to take on the Tigers. Don't really need to say much about this game. Tariq Skubal's taking the mound. Angels are a top 10 lineup over the last 30 days against left-handed pitchers. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they are actually ranked 9th. They're ranked 8th. They got an OPS of 769 over the last 30 days against lefties. That is a good thing. If you're the Angels, they have that going for them. But it's Tariq Skubal on the other side. Not many people are getting to Skubal. The Tigers are 11-3 in his starts. He's got a 2.18 ERA. The guy's just lights out. His last 3 games, a 1.83 ERA. At home, he has a 2.23 ERA. The dude's he's my favorite pitcher. I think he is the best pitcher in major leagues. Look, even the best pitchers get touched up from time to time. It's the law of average. It's the way the world works. But I do think Tariq Skubal is head and shoulders above everyone else. Paul Skeens is probably on his heels, but that's about it. I'll tell you who is not on his heels is Kyle Hendricks, and that is who is going to be taking the bump for the Los Angeles Angels. Here is a guy with an ERA of 4.59. Now, over his last few starts, he is pitching below his ERA. He has an ERA of 2.87 over his last 3 starts, which for Kyle Hendricks, that's great. But on the road, he has an ERA of 5.44. The Angels are 2-4 in his road starts. Again, guys, this is obviously I would go Tigers. Tigers first 5, possibly Tigers run line. But here's my issue with this is the value in the lines. Tigers money line is minus 300. Tigers run line, the minus 1.5 is minus 130. I don't see much value in that. We've seen what happened. This is a Tigers team that did just lose a series to the Twins. It's kind of... And that was a Twins team whose bats had been sleeping, hadn't been doing anything. Granted, it wasn't Tariq Skubal on the mound, but, again, I would lean Tigers. Tigers first 5, absolutely, with Tariq on the mound. But I don't know if there's going to be value in that line. Maybe do an alt first 5 and take Tigers minus 1.5. You could probably get that at plus money. If their bats are hitting, Hendricks is someone that can be touched up with ease. But all in all, I don't really like the value in this game, so I will probably just be off of it. There are plenty of other games on the board, so we'll pass. Go to the next one. Up next on the slate, the Miami Marlins at Atlanta Braves. Now, this is a Marlins team, so I have said it over and over and over and over again. You do not bet them as a road favorite. They have horrible ROI as a road favorite. You bet them as a road underdog. And I've been saying that all year. Today, they were a road favorite. And the Braves, who have been playing horribly, the books were telling you it was a Braves spot, and the Braves jumped out to a 2-0 lead. So I specifically said what I want to do is take the Marlins live when they're down a couple runs and hopefully get a nice plus number. Well, when they went down 2-0, the number jumped to plus 220. So I did take them at plus 220. I put a small play on it, a little less than half a unit, because, and I'll tell you why, because right now it's the bottom of the sixth. The Marlins had a 6-1 lead, and it is now 6-5. The Braves still have a runner on second and only one out on the board. So, it looks like I should have took my own advice and just stayed off of them completely. The books grabbed me with that fat plus 220. I felt like a 2-run deficit. That was just. I felt that Yuri Perez could kind of bounce back from that. It seems like as soon as they take him out, everything just kind of goes to hell, because it is 5-6. Braves threatening. They could bounce back. They could take the lead. They could win the game. Good news is Marlins are hitting, though, and they do have the lead. So even if they can keep that 1-run lead and continue to build on it, we'll see what happens. But in this situation, you got Edward Cabrera taking the mound for the Marlins. Now, Edward Cabrera is another solid pitcher that the Marlins have, 3.24 ERA. He's really found his form lately. He's been pitching great over his last 3 starts. Man, he's got a 1.53. So he's looked really good. Much better at home, 4-2 at home with a 2.86. On the road, 1-3 with a 3.89. So that's not something I like. But on the other side, you got Bryce Elder, a right-handed pitcher who, in my opinion and in everyone else's opinion who watches baseball, is absolutely horrible. There's a couple people that, that like him, or they might be Bryce Elder apologists. I am not one of them. I don't think he's good. Over his last 3, 8.16 ERA. He has an ERA of 6.03, which, that's horrible. He pitches better on the road than at home. At home, it's a 6.54 ERA. The Braves are 2-3 in his starts. So that obviously makes me want to lean towards the Marlins. But the problem is the Marlins, again, are a minus 115 road favorite, while the Braves are minus 105. I understand the Marlins have the pitching advantage. They had the pitching advantage drastically tonight. That doesn't always, make the cake. If that's the case, maybe a Marlins first 5, just like tonight would have cashed. But you do not take Marlins as a road favorite full game. You're playing with fire. Like I said, if you want to, go ahead, be my guest, but it has a horrible, horrible ROI on the year. So I'll watch the line, see what it does. If I can grab, if some money can come in on the Braves and I can grab the Marlins at a plus 100 tomorrow at some time, maybe I'll jump on it. I don't know. Again, other games on the board, not really worried about that one. On to the next. We got the Cleveland Guardians coming in to the Chicago White Sox. Now, I am a White Sox fan. I will say that proudly. Whether they win or lose, whether they have a horrible record or not, yes, I'm wearing a Yankees hat. That's because I just love sports and I love all sports apparel. But I'm a White Sox fan. You got Aaron Savali taking the mound. He's going to be going up against Tanner Bybee. I'm not sure what to think about Tanner Bybee. It's 1 minute I like him, the next minute I don't. 1 minute he pitches great, the next minute he doesn't. He's got a 4.51 ERA. The Guardians are 7-9 in his starts. Aaron Savali, on the other hand, a 3.99 ERA. The White Sox are 3-6. Man, look, there's not much to say about this. The Guardians have been playing good. They've been playing great ball. The White Sox have not. If it was a lefty on the mound, then I would be definitely looking to take the White Sox in some capacity, whether it be a team total over. But the White Sox are still hitting righties. They are still a top 10 lineup against right-handed pitchers. You've seen tonight against the Mariners today. In the last game, they were able to put up runs. you know, they almost took it. They didn't put up a lot. They put up a few, but the Mariners is not a good ballpark. Seattle's not a hitter friendly ballpark. Uh, the total's at 8.5. I mean, with these two pitchers on the mound, you know, you got one with an ERA of 4, the other one with an ERA of 4.5. I would say look at the over, especially with the way both offenses have been playing. You know, again, White Sox have been hitting the ball. They're not smacking the leather off like they were a week or two ago, but they are hitting. Guardians are playing much better baseball, possibly looking that direction, but I don't know. This will probably be a pass for me. I do have some bets that I really like, guys. I promise you. The Reds and Pirates over 8 is one that I actually will probably get to the window with. And I got some more. Here's one. On to the next. We got the Philadelphia Phillies flying in to play the Texas Rangers. This is going to be a good game. You got Christopher Sanchez taking the pitcher for the Phillies. I do not like the Phillies. I don't like anything Philly, but I love some of the Philly players, and Christopher Sanchez is by far my favorite Philly player. I don't know. Now that Johan Duran came in, he might have just slid into that number one spot. But Christopher Sanchez is my favorite Philly player. Man, this is a left-handed pitcher, the most consistent lefty in the game, one of the most consistent pitchers in the game. Period. Just amazing talent. Such a good pitcher. You know, Rangers aren't really tearing the leather off the ball when it comes to lefties, so I'm not so much worried about them. Christopher Sanchez, other than his start to the White Sox, giving up those 4, he hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in damn near any of his games, and this is a guy who's going 7, 8, sometimes 9. He is not coming out before the 7th unless he is absolutely getting smoked, and he is just not someone that you're not just going to go in and smoke Christopher Sanchez unless something's wrong with him or unless you are just your bats are on fire. The White Sox were number 1 against left-handed pitchers in the last 30 days when they had faced Sanchez about a week and a half ago, and they were able to touch him up for 4 runs, and that was on the road. Sanchez is lights out at home. Granted, this will be a road game. Texas is a pitcher-friendly park. It's not a park conducive to runs, to scoring. And then opposite of Christopher Sanchez, you got Merrill Kelly taking the mound for the Rangers. Now, Merrill Kelly has, I mean, when he was with the Diamondbacks, I thought he was one of their best pitchers that they had. He's been great all year, 3.22 ERA. He looked great in his debut for the Rangers. I'm expecting, you know, this being his first debut at home for the Rangers, I'm expecting this to be a solid outing for Merrill Kelly. I like both pitchers in this mound. In this matchup, the Phillies lineup while at home, they are one of the best lineups. You know, they're able to put up 5 or more damn near every home game, it seems like. On the road, that is not the case. They are not a good lineup on the road. They do not put up runs. This is a game. You got this total sitting at 7.5. And it's a pick 'em, -110 to the over, -110 to the under. This is a game I would be looking at the under 7.5. Again, you got 2 great pitchers on the mound. You got a Phillies team that on the road they struggle to put up a lot of runs. You got a Texas team who against New York in this last series, what they have 2-1 I think or 2-3 in the last 2 games. I mean, so this isn't these aren't bats that are just tearing the leather off the ball. Christopher Sanchez, one of the best lefties in the game. Could give you 7-8 innings. I just see this being a very low-scoring game, a grind, a rock fight. So I will be leaning towards the under 7.5. This is something I could get to the window with. We'll see what the line does. It'd be nice if some money comes in on the over. Maybe we can get it up to a flat 8 and take the under on that. But on to the next, we got the Kansas City Royals taking on the Minnesota Twins. You got Seth Lugo taking the mound for the Royals. Seth Lugo's been pretty good this year. He has gotten touched up as of recent. Still has a 3.06 ERA. Royals are 8-5 in his starts. And then sitting on the opposite side, man, you got Joe Ryan. This dude has been a savior for the Twins. I mean, Joe Ryan has really been pitching lights out. They're 10-5 in his starts. He's got a 2.83 ERA. This is another matchup that I don't think anyone was expecting what we saw from the Twins in this last series when they went to Detroit. they just came out and started smacking the ball after being dormant for some time. And now this is a Royals team who we all know on the road is a much better lineup. They do hit better on the road. I don't know why, but for some reason, once they get on the road and they find their flow, they start smacking. The total's sitting at 8. Look, if we're gonna see what they put up against I think the Red Sox game was 7-3 was the final. If we're gonna see the same Royals game that we saw in this last Red Sox game, if they're carrying that momentum, and we're gonna see the same Twins lineup as we saw against Detroit, then the over 8 it looks like a great bet, in my opinion. As far as a side, man, this is a Royals team. I do want to back. There's a few cappers out there that I really respect that also want to back the Royals in this second half of baseball. Finding the spots are tricky. This is a spot, though, that I do think the Royals could get a win. They're plus 115 on the money line. Now, I would not take them first 5. I would take the Twins first 5. I do think, again, if the Twins bats carry any of that Detroit momentum into this series, I could absolutely see them touching up Lugo for a couple runs. And I could see Joe Ryan keeping the Twins. I could see Joe Ryan keeping the Twins bats on ice. I could see him holding them to 1, maybe 2. But once these bullpens come in, remember, guys, this is a Minnesota Twins team who literally just traded away like 60% of their bullpen. They have nothing. So once these bullpens come in, I think runs should be scored by the bunches. And I also think that once this bullpen comes in, regardless what the Royals are down, I could easily see them taking over this game in the second half. So I would lean Royals money line full game, and I will possibly be looking at the over 8. Maybe a first 5 under. If we could get a first 5, 4.5, I would take that. I would love to get a first 3 under 2.5. I think Seth Lugo and Joe Ryan are both really solid that first time through the order. So I would love to get if we could find an under 2.5 first 3 that's not juicy, maybe minus 130 or less, we'll jump on that. But on to the next one. This is probably the game of the night, guys. A series a lot of people are looking forward to. We got Kodai Senga taking the mound for the New York Mets, and they are flying into Milwaukee to play the Milwaukee Brewers. This is a team that is just, man, they're in a rocket ship right now. They are kicking ass and taking names as optional for them. They don't even care who you are. They do not care who is on the mound. They are going to beat you. That's the type of attitude they've been playing with, and I love it. I love the Brewers. I've been a Brewers fan for a long time. I love seeing what they're doing. They're just, no one expected this from them, and it's good when you see a team that people didn't have a lot of expectations come in and just start mopping the floor with some of these favorites. I like seeing that. So you got Kodai Senga and Brandon Woodruff, and these are 2 solid pitchers, man. 2 really solid pitchers. Kodai Senga, 2.31 ERA. The Mets are 7-3 in his starts. He was on the IL, came back a few games ago. People weren't sure what to expect of him. First start was a little shaky. It wasn't bad, just a little shaky. But since then, man, he's been looking pretty solid. I like him. I like Woodruff. The Brewers are 3-0 in Woodruff's start. He's got a 2.22 ERA. He's been pitching lights out. We don't know how long this is going to last. I would maybe expect some regression, but at the same time, it's like, can we? Is there going to be regression? Now Kodai Senga, he's got a 8.25 ERA over his, and that was just because of that recent start where he got touched up. The home games 2.42, they're 5-1. On the road a 2.20, they're 2-2. But again, this is a good pitcher, man. Kodai Senga is a good pitcher, but going against a Brewers team, they've been destroying lefties and they've been getting righties. They've pretty much just been getting to everyone. Woodruff's 2.00 over his last 3 starts. At home, his ERA goes up a little, 3.45. Overall, this is kind of hard, actually. Here's the thing. Historically, even though the Brewers are playing just lights-out baseball right now, historically, they do not do good against the Mets. The Mets, for some reason, whoop up on the Brewers when they see them. I don't know if it's a psychological thing. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, they whoop up on them. The Mets are a plus 110. The Brewers are a minus 130 favorite. The total's sitting at 8. This is one of those games that could end 2-1 or it could end 12-11. This is one of those games where if those bats on both sides, because these are two offenses that can light up the scoreboard when they're in rhythm and when they're hitting. So if both offenses decide to just hit at the same time, this could be a very high-scoring game. I want to say the Brewers because that's what my heart wants to say. I would love to see the Brewers win. I don't know. I do think this could be a letdown spot for the Brewers. I do think this could be a bounce-back spot for the Mets. We'll see. Overall, I might stay off this game. This might just be one of those games where I have fun watching, just sit back and just watch the matchup. Again, plenty of other games out there. On to the next one. We got the Chicago Cubs flying to St. Louis to take on the Cardinals. Matthew Boyd taking the mound for the Cubs. Here's a left-handed pitcher with a 2.34 ERA, 11-4 the Cubs are in his starts. Now, he had gotten touched up in his start before his most recent. Now, he came back out in this most recent one, redeemed himself a little bit. Overall, on the year, man, Matthew Boyd's been a great pitcher. I'm a fan of Matthew Boyd. 2.37 ERA over his last 3 starts. At home, 1.75. On the road, it goes up a little bit at 2.97. Now, here's the thing: is the Cubs are 9-0 in his home starts, 2-4 in his road starts. Opposite of him, you're going to have Mike McGreevy. McGreevy is a guy who was a highly touted prospect, man, and a lot of people had high expectations for him, but he hasn't really been pitching that great. 6.11 ERA in his last 3 starts. The Cardinals are 2-1 in his last 3. On the road, he pitches much better, though, man. They're 2-0 when in his road starts, and he's got an ERA of 3.00. At home, they're 1-2, and he's got an ERA of 6.86. But here is a fun fact, is the Cardinals rank number 2 over the last 30 days. Actually, they're tied with the Blue Jays, but they're both right behind the Athletics for best lineup against lefties over the last 30 days. That is something that makes me very interested in this game because, again, Matthew Boyd, yes, his last start was great, but the struggle before that, he struggled a little bit, got touched up. The total sitting at 8.5. This is a game I would actually lean to the over in this. I think this is a spot where the Cubs can absolutely touch up McGreevy, but I also think the Cardinals can touch up Boyd, man. That again, this is a number 2 team against lefties over the last 30 days. I know they haven't been looking that spectacular, but they are smacking lefties when they see them. Aside from the weather, we'll see what happens. If Matthew, the Cubs bats didn't look great in this last series. Granted, the wind plays a big factor at Wrigley Field, and there was wind blowing in, but they haven't looked great, man. The Cardinals are a plus 130 underdog at home. Cubs are a minus 155 favorite on the road. After seeing this Cubs last series, it makes me a little hesitant to jump on them. I think the safer bet for me would be to play the over. I do think this is a game that just sees some runs. Again, Cardinals smacking lefties when they see them. I think the Cubs offense needs to wake up. They've been kind of stale over their last several games. Anyone who watches baseball knows that usually when a team goes on a cold streak, those cold streaks usually last anywhere from 7 to 14 games is something I've noticed. And not in all cases, but with good teams. With good teams, those cold streaks will usually only last about 7 to 14 games. So the Cubs are probably coming up on 7 to 10 games where they haven't looked that great. So maybe they can snap out of it against McGreevy. I think it's a good spot for them too. So I'll be checking out the over in that game, but nothing completely official. Next game on the board. This is something I will be official with. You got the Boston Red Sox flying to San Diego to take on the Padres. Padres are back at home. You got Walker Buehler taking the mound for the Red Sox. Nick Pivetta going to be on the bump for the Padres. Buehler on the road is atrocious. He's pitched okay at home. Not okay. I mean, he's got a 3.94 ERA over his last 3 starts, but at home, overall 4.35 ERA. On the road, 7.44. The Red Sox are 3-4 in his road starts. Nick Pivetta, on the other hand, 1.86 over his last 3 starts. At home, the Padres are 7-0 in his home starts, and he's got a 1.99 ERA. Pavetta's been pitching lights out at home. I like Pivetta. I think he's a good pitcher. I do not like Walker Buehler at all. We just saw the Boston Red Sox get super hot. Went on, 9, 10, 11-game win streak, something like that. But they were super hot. Bats were hot. And then you just seen them lose this last game to the Royals in the last game of that series where they lost 7-3. This could be a spot where the Red Sox bats are cooling down. That game against the Royals, that last one, that could have been the start of a week or 2 long drought for them. All I know is I do like the Padres in this game. I will be taking the Padres on the run line. A lot of people think run lines are not -1.5. So let me rephrase that. A lot of people, cappers out there, think -1.5s are not profitable, and overall statistically they're not. But that's because a lot of people play them just all the time, and I actually have a great ROI with -1.5s, but I don't play them like that. I'm very picky with the spots that I play them. A lot of things have to align and have to coincide with each other for me to take the -1.5. But I think you do the right amount of research, you put in the work. -1.5s can be great bets. So this is a game I will be looking to jump on the Padres run line. I am hoping that a lot of people just are recent biased and they see the Red Sox 10, 11-game win streak, and hopefully the Red Sox get some money coming in. I would like that run line to go up. Right now, the Red Sox are a +145 road underdog, and the Padres are a -175 home favorite. As far as the number, it's hard to. +145 may be a little mispriced. It's with the pitching matchup, I get it. But as far as overall, it's still, this is a Boston team that's 64-52. I mean, they did just go on a big win streak. I think +145 might be a little bit of a stretch, but considering you got Pivetta against Buehler, and even more so than that, considering the Padres bullpen, the trade deadline, man, they already had a great bullpen, and now they have like a super great bullpen. They really juiced it up, man, gave a shot of testosterone to the bullpen guys and jacked them up because their bullpen's nasty now. So I could see the Padres winning this game pretty comfortably. So give me the Padres run line. Just want to try to get a better number than the +115. Next game, Tampa Bay Rays fly in to play the Seattle Mariners and Luis Castillo. Damn the Rays. Damn the Rays to hell. I will not bet Rays games, at least not as of now. I made a killing with the Rays about 2 months ago when they went on that tear and where they were smoking everyone they played. Didn't matter who it was. Didn't matter who the pitchers were. Nothing mattered. They literally went on a 3-week-long tear where not only were they beating everyone they played, they were scoring 6+ runs in damn near every game they played. So I made plenty of money with them. But after they stopped that month-long run of fun in the sun and they went ice cold like a Dairy Queen blizzard, I can't hit shit with them no more. I bet on them, they lose. I bet against them, they win. I have learned to just relax on Rays games. If I was going to bet this one, you have Drew Rasmussen taking the mound for the Rays. Drew Rasmussen has been a very serviceable pitcher for them. 2.51 ERA over his last 3. They're 2-0 in his last 2 starts. On the road, it goes up a little, 3.34 ERA, but they are 4-0 in his road starts. That's kind of a big deal. They're 9-5 with Rasmussen on the mound, And I just think it's crazy that at home they're 5-5, but on the road 4-0. So whatever it is, these Rays bats back him up on the road. Castillo in his last 3 starts, 3.31 ERA, but at home 2.40. He's been lights out. The Mariners, however, are 4-4 in his home starts. Man, see, this is what it sucks me in, and I hate it because the Rays had a day off. Mariners just had to play that series, with the White Sox. The Rays are plus 115, and this is how I like to bet the Rays. I like to bet the Rays when they are underdogs and when I feel they're somewhat mispriced. That winning streak they went on, if you noticed, the books had them mispriced for about 2.5 weeks. They were literally making them plus money underdogs in almost every game, especially if they were on the road. They were definitely plus money underdogs. And then finally, when they got cold, it was right around the time the books caught up to it and started pricing them correctly. And they started pricing them. Actually, they started overpricing them. They were pricing them as big favorites, and that's when they started losing. It's kind of like a Marlins thing. You don't bet the Rays as a big favorite because they don't come through for you. You want to take them as an underdog. I think this is a sneaky spot. They just got done playing that series with the Angels. They had a day off, so they weren't far. They were in LA, not a big travel. They probably came to Seattle a day early. Seattle's been home. But they just had this series with the White Sox. It was kind of a grind. They smoked them in the first 2, but this last one they made them work for it. Took them to extra innings. This is a game I could just look again. The Rays are 4-0 in Rasmussen's road starts, so I would have to lean Rays in this. I could definitely see them taking this ball game home and calling it a day. But we'll see what the lines do. On to the next one. We got 3 more games. Colorado Rockies at Arizona Diamondbacks. What can you say? These are two teams that are just, man, it's rough. It's hard times. It's hard in the yard for these boys. You know what I mean? It is hard in the yard. But there is some good news. So taking the bump for the Rockies is Austin Gomber. Left-handed pitcher, now 6.18 ERA. Hear me out. Diamondbacks ranked 21st over the last 30 days against left-handed pitchers. So they are not hitting left-handed pitchers that good. Now, Austin Gomber, yes, 7.20 ERA over his last 3 games. They're 0-2. Those were home games. Now, he has a 7.11 home ERA. On the road, he does have a 4.91 ERA. He does pitch decent on the road. Now, granted, the Rockies are 0-3 in his road starts, but they're going to be going up against Zach Allen and a dying Diamondbacks team. This Diamondbacks team, both of these teams have probably somewhat, obviously the Rockies have packed it in, but the fun thing about the Rockies is they don't care if they packed it in. They don't care if they have 20 wins. They will literally play every game like they have a shot at getting in the playoffs, and that's why it's fun to find those value spots with the Rockies, because when you can find those value spots, they're usually a pretty decent value. You just got to know where to pick them. Zach Gallen has an ERA of 6 over his last 3 at home. He's actually worse at home. 5.98 ERA. The Diamondbacks are 2-6 in his home starts. Say what you want, but the Rockies are hitting the ball. They didn't do so much in that series with the Blue Jays, but before that, they had been touching the ball up. Man, I just think, again, against a dying Diamondback team with a pitcher like Zach Gallen on the mound, you're going to make the Diamondbacks a minus 220 favorite with their recent form. And look, not by any means I am not saying the Rockies are better than the Diamondbacks, because I do not think they are better than the Diamondbacks. But here's my thing. When I look at recent form, that is what matters to me more than anything. How has a team played over the last 14 days? I want to see 14 to 21 days. I want to see these last 14 to 21 days, because one thing I've learned in baseball, there are no favorites. The favorite is who has been playing better recently. That's just the way it works, or at least it seems to most of the time.
with the Diamondbacks' recent form, they do not deserve to be minus 220 favorites. I think that's a little ridiculous. Yes, again, I understand it's the Rockies, but keep in mind, Austin Gomber, left-handed pitcher, and on the road he has a lower ERA than Zach Gallen. I know ERAs don't mean anything. It's an expected number, but I just think that this is a sneaky spot, again, that the Rockies could slide in and pick up a W when no one is expecting it. So, we'll see what the line does. If some Diamondback money comes in and I can get it to maybe bump up to 190 or plus 200, I'll definitely take it. But, we'll see. If I do it, it'll just be gambling. I won't necessarily have an edge. I will be doing it just off of a pure fade of Zach Gallen because Zach Gascan Gallen is not a friend of mine. I do not think he's that great. So we'll see what happens. But on to the next one. Your Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is going to be an exciting game. Here you got a Dodgers team that is supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball, the defending World Series champions. They're supposed to go back this year and repeat again. And, they got all this money in, Shohei Ohtani and, Yamamoto. I mean, they got all these guys, Freddie Freeman, and I just feel like they're kind of disappointing a little bit. They're too hot and cold. They don't impress me. But here's my thing. So you got Max Scherzer taking them out for the Blue Jays. Max Scherzer has not been that great. He's definitely, I would say, probably one of the Blue Jays' lesser pitchers. Actually, that he is the Blue Jays' lesser pitcher. 4.00 ERA over his last three. On the road, a 4.50. The Blue Jays are 1-1 in his road starts. But you have Kershaw taking them out. Now, yes, Kershaw has been great this year. For an old man, he has looked fantastic. 3.00 ERA over his last three starts. He pitches better on the road. At home, he has a 4.35 ERA. Now, the Dodgers are 2-0 in his home starts, but this is a spot. Keep this in mind, people. This is a left-handed pitcher. Blue Jays are tied for the second best team over the last 30 days against lefties. They are smacking the shit out of lefties. I don't care who it is, and Clayton Kershaw is not Tariq Skubal. He is not an elite lefty by any means. He is a decent lefty, but he is by no means elite, and I think the Blue Jays are going to tear the cover off the ball. Yes, I get they're coming out of the Coors series, but they also did have a day off, so they had a day to adjust. I like fading teams coming out of Coors when they have no days off. When they get that day off in between, they were in Colorado already, had to go to LA, not that far of a flight. Again, a day off, got there early. They were able to let their bodies adjust. I think this is a spot, and more importantly, you look at, again, we talk about recent form. The Blue Jays are playing better baseball. Simple as that. They are playing better than the Dodgers right now. The Blue Jays are plus 125. The Dodgers are minus 150. The Blue Jays, another team. This is another team. I'm telling you, if you go back and you look at this team's ROI as an underdog, it's through the roof. Much more than their ROI as a favorite. So this is another team that I love betting them when we get these underdog prices because you're not going to get the Blue Jays at an underdog price that often. And again, with recent form, yes, I understand Max Scherzer isn't that great. I do trust Kershaw more than I would trust Scherzer, but this Dodgers bullpen is hurting. This Dodgers bullpen is not deep at all. Neither is the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays bullpen is not great, but they've been serviceable. They are rested. They had the day off, not to mention they smoked the Rockies in that series, so they didn't even have to really burn through their arms like that. At plus 125, I just think this is a good spot, a sneaky spot to take the Blue Jays. I honestly think that Blue Jay money will come in. Maybe some public bettors bet the Dodgers because they just see the Dodgers and they're automatically thinking. But I think sharps might bring in some Blue Jays money. And of course, the Braves have now taken the lead 7-6, and they also have the bases loaded bottom of the seventh with 2 outs. I told you, you don't take the Marlins as a road favorite. It doesn't matter how good they look, how much of a lead they jump out to. You don't take the Marlins as a road favorite. They have horrible ROI. Little things like this, people, I promise you, remember these little nuggets that I'm giving you guys because they're valuable and they hold true. You can be profitable if you follow some of these things because I'm telling you right now, The Marlins ROI as a road favorite, as a favorite period, but especially as a road favorite, is absolutely horrible. So when you see them as a road favorite, fade them. It should almost be an auto play. When you see them as a road dog, back them. They play great when they are a road underdog. It's just one of those things. You still got a couple innings left. If they can salvage this right here with the bases loaded, get this third out without giving up any more runs, go into the top of the eighth down one, they might be able to pull a couple off this Braves bullpen. But the question is can they stop the Braves? Anyway, we'll see. On to the last game. You got the Washington Nationals going to play San Francisco. This is a game. The lines have not been released yet for this game, and San Francisco does not have a starting pitcher. It looks like Jake Irvin will be taking the mound for the Nationals. This is a guy with he's not that great. 4.89 ERA. Over his last three, a 7.36 ERA. Home games 4.70. On the road, the Washington Nationals are 6-4 in his road starts with a 5.06 ERA. We'll see who the San Francisco Giants decide to deploy onto the mound. I do like the Giants at home. For some reason, I feel like all of the California teams, Dodgers included, even though I plan on fading the Dodgers tomorrow, I do feel like all of these California teams, the Giants, the Padres, the Dodgers, the Angels might be the exception, but they all seem to play much better at home, and the Giants are included in that. Depending on who they have taken the bump, if it's one of their solid pitchers, I might look to get to the window with the Giants' first five, but we'll see. Not sure who they're going to release, but yeah, anyway, that's it, man. That wraps up the games. Look, I appreciate all you guys watching, whether it's 1, 100, 1,000. I've said this before. I just love making money. I love talking sports. I love helping people make money, and I love talking sports to people. Man, we get to the window early, often, and all the time. We swept the board today, 5-0. Go check out my X account at Tommy Turnbuckle. Follow me there. You can get my daily plays every single day. Please hit the like and the subscribe button, guys. Try to do videos every day. I'm trying to do the whole slate for you guys, too, so I can give you a lean on all the games. And again, I appreciate you watching. I hope everyone enjoys their Thursday night. And you already know, let's smoke them.